Jim Kukral, Daily Flip.
Hey, it's Jim Kukral, and this is another edition of the Daily Flip. And I've always had this theory when it comes to middle managers and people in big corporations is I did sales support for years and years for salespeople. I would go and I'd create brochures, online brochures for them, and websites, and sales objections, and videos, and documents, and I still do that to an extent. So I understand how salespeople work, and I understand how customers work. So when you're dealing with enterprise level stuff like B2B stuff, which I did a lot of, people like marketing managers and communication directors and people like that, or anyone who's a middle or VP level director or manager at a company like, give you an example, Sherwin-Williams or any type of big company, they make their purchasing decisions based upon one simple fact, and that's not getting fired. What's the old line? It says, nobody ever got fired by buying IBM. That's exactly true, and that's exactly what's going on in the world today. You have VP level, director level people, and their entire goal in life is to not get fired. How do you get fired? You get fired by choosing the risky solution. You get fired by choosing the cheap solution. You get fired by making the solution that nobody's ever heard of before. That's why companies like IBM and all these big brands do so well at B2B level entry places, because the people who make the purchasing decisions make them so that they don't get fired. So what does this mean for you? This means that if you're in that level, if you're selling a B2B product or service to people at that level, you really got to do what I call is called hero marketing. And hero marketing is when you come in and you make a hero out of the person who's making the purchasing decision. So somebody needs to find new affiliate tracking software, right? So their CEO or the board or somebody says, you, Mike Smith, are in charge of making the purchasing decision on our new affiliate tracking software. So they go look at all the top level ones, they look at the mid level ones, they look at the low level ones. And they say, well, it's a no-brainer. I'm just going to choose the top one, the publicly traded company, because that's the one, if I choose, I know that I can go back to my CEO and my board or my boss and say, well, what do you want me to do? I chose the number one guy out there. How is it my fault that they screwed it up? That's exactly what happens. That's exactly why these companies keep getting it. Meanwhile, there are better, smaller companies out there who are doing more innovative things that are much better, that will never get chosen because the people who make the buying decisions are afraid they're going to get fired. So if you're from one of those companies that you're trying to compete with the top level dogs, and you're from a mid-level company, you need to do what is called hero marketing, which is make the purchasing person into a hero. You really need to convince them that when they're going to buy, it's going to make them a hero to their boss. You're going to have to be really unique and clever when you do that. I mean, it's going to take... sure, they're going to want to have all the logos, all your customers, so they can throw that back to their boss and go, well, they were doing it for Gojo, and they were doing it for Rackspace. You know, so how could I go wrong in making that decision? Yeah, they're going to like that. But at the end of the day, there are going to be those people who are going to want to make a decision based upon the quality of the product. And if your product is truly different and truly better than the big boys in your field, then you need to make sure you get that across to the purchaser. And you got to make them feel like they're going to be a hero and they're not going to get fired for making your decision. I've done campaigns where I've actually come in to people and I said, you know what? You're not going to get fired by choosing our solution, and here's why. And they're like, well, what do you mean? Because no one wants to admit it, but that's why they make decisions, because they're scared to get fired. And I've offended a few people when I said that, but I've also landed a few accounts because of it. And I talk very frank when I'm in a sales call. So that's my take on hero marketing and why people make purchasing decisions at the enterprise B2B level. I think that you really think in that mindset if you're doing sales support or if you're selling, and I think you'll be more successful. Thanks. I'm Jim Kukral, and that was today's Daily Flip.